Hey everybody, welcome to your unpaid therapist.
Hello, welcome to another episode of your unpaid therapist.
I'm not getting paid. I didn't even get a donut.
Oh, that's sexy though. I like it.
I'm Valery Milagros Ortiz.
I don't know.
I am your host, Alikona. She's away. Bradford.
This is your unpaid therapist. Shoo-wah, cha-cha.
Welcome back. It's your unpaid therapist. I'm Valery, and the beautiful lady inside that amazing pop. If you are visually listening, does that make sense?
No.
It is Alikona Bradford. But it makes sense now.
If you are opening your eyes and listening at the same time, you're
time.
visually listening.
We're going to find that. That's going to be a new thing. Welcome, y'all. So today we are getting into it. This has been in the news, in pop culture, and we wanted to have a conversation really mainly about what it takes or what would you do to get as far as you want in your career. What are the things that you're willing to risk? What are the people that you're willing to take advantage of? All the things. We're going to get into it. Obviously P Diddy's been in the news. The Beyonce's in the talks about all this kind of stuff. J-Lo, of course. So we're going to briefly talk about that, but first, y'all know what it is.
Instinctually, I want to be like, you know what it is. Never have I ever. Oh, but it's not.
But it's not. We're going into our songs. Alikona, would you like to start with your weekly song?
I can do it. Okay, so I'll preface this with hopefully I don't lose my shit as I'm singing. And the meaning behind the song, while there is deep meaning, is not the meaning that you think. So if I do get like choked up, it has nothing to do with, you'll see. Anyways.
Okay.
And also, this is the Hawaiian version, not the Judy Garland version. So just imagine ukuleles playing in the background, okay?
Yes.
5,
I love
6,
this version.
7. You already know what I'm singing. Dang it.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. And the dream that you dream of, dreams really do come true. Anyways, there's more, but the part that usually gets me is the beginning. Yeah,
I
is
love that
like
song.
anyways, doesn't matter. Okay, so the meaning behind this one, I mean, outside of the fact that Val and I are going to Hawaii in like 2 days.
Pretty much when this, as you guys are listening, we're there. So
Yes.
this is the future.
Yes. So I mean, it's coincidence and not coincidence. So this song played right before Lani Kai passed away, and then after she passed away, it kept coming on, and it would make me so sad because I would think about her and like being over the rainbow and like the bluebirds and the happiness. So that's part of it. And we're leaving on the 5th. That is actually Lani Kai's birthday, which purposely planned because I didn't want to think about it. So I was like, let's do something happy. So anyways, that all ties in.
There's a lot happening on the 5th, which again, this in real time, we might already know who the next president of the United States is, and I am scared.
It's kind of crazy.
Isn't it weird?
Crazy.
We'll be talking about that on the island. We're going to be bringing you guys content from Hawaii. But let me get to my song. So actually, let me just sing it. Some of you guys might know this. Okay, let me go. A moment like this, some people wait a lifetime. For a moment like this, some people search forever for that one special kiss. Oh, I can't. I think I'm missing this part. This happening to me. Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this.
And fan kick. I did a little 1, 2, 3. You just didn't know. I was parbourang and turning.
Oh my God. Why would I ever do Kelly Clarkson or like Mariah or anybody who sings good? that song, I was a couple things. So, one of my best friends, Valerie, her name's Valerie too. You guys probably already know her. She is going to be renewing her vows in Vegas, actually the weekend after we get back from Hawaii, and that was the song that they danced to just because of a whole lot of things. And there's a bunch of synchronicities happening that like Kelly Clarkson is going to be in Vegas the same weekend as their vow renewal in Vegas. And a friend of hers randomly is going to be in Vegas that weekend too, and is trying to get to, and is going to take them to this really exclusive showing of something. Just bananas, just all the synchronicities of that. And then we were talking about this morning, and then just after my trip with Florida, I think I briefly talked about it, my trip with David in Florida and how great all that went, and just life just feeling like it's really all super aligning, and outside of politics and all the craziness and unpredictability, um things at home, and it just feels so good. So
Oh, I love
that
that.
was that song. Yeah.
Yay.
So,
All
but
right.
a moment like this, speaking of Kelly Clarkson, actually, and things like American Idol, right? That is a type of show that I actually really fell in love with, because I felt like that gave the opportunity for, I'm putting air quotes on, I'm making sure that's known. Like nobodies or people that who would be in Kansas who may not get the exposure, or who
Mhm.
don't have an agent, or I'm not saying that like in a mean way, I'm just saying
No,
that
it
people
makes
who didn't
sense.
have access, right?
The ordinary, everyday Jane and Joe had the opportunity to get in front of people in LA that they may have never had the
Never
opportunity.
had the chance to, right? So I loved that, and I loved seeing these people that you'd, and even maybe even physically you'd be like, what, that came out
Mhm.
of there, like that is so amazing, and seeing
She's
them
so mean, isn't
win.
she?
Huh?
She's so mean.
No, but no, I'm talking about like even just like a kid, just a
Yeah,
young person, to have this like full mature voice. Like
yeah.
that's kind of more of what I meant. And you're just like, how, like you've been here before, right? Like this is, the talent was insane. Um and it gave these people, right, a platform, a place to start. So giving someone a platform or a place to start, um sometimes that comes in different shapes and different ideas and different ways, a way in. And of course, I'm sure you guys have heard all the P Diddy,
Yes, we have.
yeah, yeah, stuff going on, being talked about, and Justin Bieber being brought into
Yeah,
it, Usher, just so many people, and
right.
so many people. um and you and I, we started talking about like,
Yeah.
what is it like? And even like, we've heard allegedly Beyonce and Jay-Z are really super involved, and people don't know the things that are going to come out on them. And we just went on this tangent on like, why? Like, why would somebody like Beyonce, who was already, again, allegedly, if this is true, um would she, like, what, she was already a star. She is a star, right?
Right. Okay, I'm gonna put it the mean way. Val is dancing around it and putting it in a very polite way, and I'm just gonna be blunt and say, "You've thought it. I've thought it. You look at Jay-Z, he's not very attractive of a dude, and
Oh, 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 oh.
she is not only attractive, but she was already known, a known entity. She may have not been Beyoncé, but she was still Beyoncé. She was still Destiny's Child. She had still won her Grammys. So it's not like she was a somebody from nowhere who just nobody knew who she was, and she was trying to get with somebody to get herself leveled up. Like, she
Mm.
could have done that on her own. So why did she get with someone like Jay-Z? I don't know. He must have a really nice personality.
Well, and all that aside, I mean, a lot of, and somewhat, people are speculating, or just, of course, people are just saying all the things, is that he came with more opportunities, more money, more
Clout.
fans, clout. Yes, great word. Um, and thinking about,
I mean,
and
listen though. Let's just talk about J Lo and when she got with P Diddy, and that was another one of those where I was like, but he was an entrepreneur. He had his hands in everything, and it seemed like
Mhm.
she was with this person to not only learn from him, but to expand herself as a brand and as an artist and etc. And it worked.
Sure. Okay. With that said, though, we just had an episode about love and love being blind or not. So, in Beyonce and J Lo's defense, and just people in general who physicality isn't the number one, especially these men with money. And let's think about it. Look at these young, beautiful women with these old farts. You know what I mean? Like okay, so obviously they're being manipulated. I'm not even going to use the word manipulated because everybody makes their own choices, but they're being allured and wooed with vacations and things and ideas of grandeur, you know? So yes, personality, but yes, also being treated to things that you were never exposed to. And Jenny from the Block might have been like, okay, this is nice. But also,
Mhm.
Jenny from the Block, again, I don't know the details, and this is all like alleged. There's so many rumors going around, but she left him after all that mess. And also, there's rumors out there that Ben and J Lo were obviously married and now they're going through a divorce and it just so happens that it was during all this P Diddy allegations, everything coming out, and there's celebrities and politicians and people in high places all of a sudden like deleting their Twitter accounts,
Stepping
like
down from their positions as CEO.
correct, like going abroad for a little minute, going radio silent, on the socials in general. Um, so it's crazy and it's scary and it's disgusting some of the stuff, right, that we're hearing.
Yeah. So then that brings us back to like what we were talking about initially, which is like, what would you do to get to where you want to be? And I think,
Yeah,
it's prominent in the entertainment industry. I don't think I realized how prominent. I think Me
you're
Too
right.
helped a lot.
Mhm,
But it does happen in everyday jobs as well, too, because unfortunately we do oftentimes live in a patriarchal society where men tend to have a lot of higher positions. Not always, but
mhm.
more often than not. And you've
Yes.
got young people coming in who are eager and ready and want to do the thing, whatever you say. And so it's interesting because I think I saw, okay, I don't want to make this too much about like TV in case you haven't seen the show or a celebrity you're not familiar with, but I had just recently watched Baby Reindeer. And
Okay.
in the storyline, it's based on true events. This guy is a writer and basically he gets groomed by another very successful writer
Mhm.
where he starts taking drugs. And as he's taking drugs, the guy is sexually assaulting him. And he knows it's awful. And he goes home and he's in pain because things are happening while he's like slightly unconscious, but he still keeps going back because there's still that
Mhm.
tiny hope and that fraction of like, if I keep enduring this, maybe he's going to get me that
Mm.
job on that show as a writer. And the same thing for all these musicians and actors and whomever you are. It's like that hope and that thing of this does violate my boundary a little bit, but it's only a little. And then you get
Yeah.
groomed and groomed and groomed, and slowly your boundary gets pushed and pushed and pushed until you're like looking back, like, how did I even get here?
Get
You know?
here. And I love that you mentioned that because I hate the victim blaming thing, or right, is that what it is, like when people are just like, well, why are they coming out now? Well, they should have said something in the beginning. And it's just like that is so easy to say from anybody who has never been victimized or who's never been assaulted, who's never been raped, or who's never been in uh,
Blackmailed.
black shit, exactly, blackmailed. um there's a lot of reasons why people
Let me
don't
ask you,
come out.
Val. Okay, because I don't
Mhm.
know the details. I've not followed too much of everything with P. Diddy, but I do know that he recorded everything. So let's just say for you
Exactly.
personally, Valerie Ortiz, you were in a position where maybe you had gotten groomed and you were not aware until like stuff started happening, but everything has been filmed. And now it comes
Mm.
down to, do I come out publicly and say this person is abusing me when it's not popular
Mhm.
yet? Like no one's come out about it yet and you are the first person. That means you're gonna come out and you're gonna put PDD or whomever on
Whoever.
blast, but all this video footage is gonna come out of you. Like, would you come forward?
I think it depends on what was on the video, right? Like if the video was me
Explicit.
being no, right, that's what so if the video was just me being going through it, then yes. But I think that's not the case. I think the reason why these people haven't said anything is because they are involved in the wrongdoing. They are aware that people are being allegedly human trafficked. They are aware that there's minors in these parties and that there are minors being taken advantage of. So I think that's why everybody's kept themselves, in their own little bubble, and they're, staying a far distance. One, because allegedly P. Diddy has killed people who have not
Mm,
agreed with him in the past, or who have tried to out him, or blah blah blah.
right.
So nobody's trying to deal with that, right? So I think it's a safety thing. I think it's a guilt thing. So if it was just videos of me, because they're speaking to me, I wouldn't have been in that situation. One, but let's just say I accidentally was invited to some party. I was super naive. I'm,
Someone
19.
drugged you?
Right, and exactly. I mean, look, and by the way, if somebody drugged me, then fuck yeah, release the tapes.
Mhm.
Like,
Right,
I have nothing to hide. Like that,
right.
everybody knows who I am. You can see that with just 40 years of what I've shown and who I've been in the public eye and outside of the public eye. So yeah,
Mhm.
share the tapes. Um, I would have no problem. But again, it's just so easy for me to say because it's just so hypothetical. Like,
Right.
and I could see also too, let's say it had nothing to even do with me. Like me saying something, maybe I say show the tapes, but then Alikona, you were in those tapes. And now
Right.
I'm like, shit. If I say show the tapes, now I'm putting all these people that I love and care about in the hole too. So it's just I
Right.
feel like it's just so complicated.
Well, also too, like if he's the one who's in possession of this thing, right, and you come forward, then you don't have access to that. And unfortunately, in our society, a lot of
Hmm.
times, ooh, I hate it. It's called victim shaming, and a lot of times that will happen to women and rape victims, right?
Yes.
So, there's actually a really dope music video by Dove Cameron, and it's a song called "I Eat Boys for Breakfast." I eat boys like you for breakfast. Da, da. And
Mm,
she came out with this video. Coincidentally, it was right after Roe versus Wade got reversed and overturned, and so she reverses the roles and she's singing about like eating boys for breakfast, and she's in a suit, she's dressed as a man but still a woman, and the men in the video are being treated horribly. So the men are the
mhm,
ones that are like at the OBGYN, and the doctor's like, well, next time maybe don't dress so provocatively and be a little bit more careful, versus saying, are
mhm.
you okay? Oh my god, somebody assaulted you. And I think that's so common where us as women get blamed, again, whether it's in the workspace, in the athletic space, in the leisurely place. If we wear a certain way, we've been working out, we're feeling good, we want to just show off the fact that, not for you, dude, not for the male gaze, but for myself, I feel good and it's freeing for me to wear this tank top or these short shorts that I've never had the confidence to wear, and I'm going to wear them. And
Mhm.
then somebody assaults you, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, she was asking for it because she was wearing the short shorts and
Exactly.
showing the goods, and it's like, bitch, but not for you. Like,
Right. And
anyways,
yeah. No, it's
sorry,
good. Like,
tangent.
yeah, no, and it's so all of that. What about you? Same question.
Okay, so say I don't have access to the tapes. Would I come forward and say something? Probably yes. And I understand, again, if I don't have access to, and it is scary because when you are in a business like the entertainment business, as a singer, a writer, a dancer, a actor, whatever the case may be, you are the minority dealing with somebody who's very powerful, and you can and will
Yeah.
get blackballed. And that is scary. And in that sense, I do understand. And then
Mhm.
on the other note, right, on the other, and not that I want to start rumors or anything like that, but I know I've heard, quotes, heard
Quotes,
things about
quotes.
people like what's the girl in Hunger Games, Jennifer uh
Lawrence.
Lawrence. Heard from several industry professionals that she slept her way into the position of being able to be in some of these things
Mhm.
to get her break. And it's like, well, I mean, it's her body. And if she chose to go ahead and sleep with executive producer number one because it was going to get her the role, then she played the game, whether she felt
Sure.
pressured
Ha,
to or
no
not.
pun
Um,
intended.
right. Oh, hey. I didn't even do that on purpose. That was so good. Okay. But also too, I always thought about women who do that. And I was like, See, if I was in that position, because I've asked myself, would I ever? Like, it is my dream. It's
Mhm.
something that I want more than anything in the world, you know? And
It'll change your career, like,
yeah,
eh,
yeah, like I
your
know what I
family's
want.
life, your
I've been working for it for like years and years, busting my ass and getting like incrementally
Mhm.
forward, but not fast enough. And someone is like, "Hey, girl," and they're decently attractive. If you sleep with me, I'm a director, and I have, I don't know, Universal Studios behind me, and I get to cast whoever I want in this role. You know, get down on your knees, suck it,
Yeah,
and hey, I'll give it to you. I'd be
sure.
like, okay, where's the contract? Can we sign this, and do I get to take it home with me? Because who's to say I do the deed and go home and you don't change your mind because you went
Right.
in a different direction?
But here's the thing, like, I feel like that it doesn't happen that way. The director's like, "Do you wanna go to dinner?" We wanna talk about, the character. There's some different visions that I have, and of course, you're our main choice. So blah 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 blah. Right? That's how
Mhm.
that stuff kind of happens. It doesn't. Nobody's. It's a different kind of grooming as well, and it's making you feel safe. It's painting this picture that I got you,
Mhm.
and then that turns into another date, maybe the third one's not the business one. It has nothing to do to talk about the movie or the role or whatever. So
But then at what point is that established, right? Is that just implied, you think? Like, I get what you're saying, Val. Like, you're going to dinner and slowly it turns into hand on the leg, hand on the shoulder, a
mhm.
little bit of a caress. And you're like, ooh.
Right. I
Um,
just think that it's at that point, especially like I've only seen this in movies, but it's just like if she shies away or like does a gesture of just like don't do this or stop or whatever, then the threat comes. Oh, I thought you
mm,
really wanted this, or
right,
that
right, right.
I feel I don't know. That's what I've seen in movies, but and I don't know anybody personally who's gone through that. But that's kind of I don't, and who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe it's hella. Maybe it is very direct.
I've
I
been
don't
asked very directly.
what?
Yeah,
Do tell.
I think we did. We did talk about this on a past podcast.
Very
I was
directly?
talking to
I don't
somebody
remember
who,
this.
huh? Oh, so I was talking to somebody who, I'll lay it out for you in context. I was pitching my first show. It was a travel show, and I signed up for classes on like how to properly pitch executives. And with that came mentors. And so, and I think it happened with two dudes in the same group. I just was a little naive. Okay. So first person, I whatever. Um, they mentored me, whatever, got my number, told me they really liked my show, and I was like, "Great." And then they started calling me at times in the evening, and they were like, "Well, it's because 'cause
Mhm.
I'm out of the country. I'm in China. It's a totally different time zone." And I'm like, "Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I guess it's fine that you're calling me at 1 o'clock in the morning." And would excite me, like you said, talk about my show and how great it is, and his sister loved it, and his sister has good taste, so she loves it. It's it could be a hit. And I'll introduce you to some people, but, I gotta know, like, what are you willing to do? Point blank, what are you willing to do? I don't host my show? Like, what? And he was like, no, like, this is how the industry is. He's like, that's how I got my in, and that's how it works. Like, I was not, he was an African American guy, and he was like, I had to sleep with this fat white lady, but I did it. And guess what? She takes care of me, and I'm constantly working. Still to this day, she like hooks me up with jobs. So I can introduce you to people, but I need to know what you're willing to do so I know like how to introduce you. Now, if you're not willing to do anything, cool. Cause I was like, that's not really how I roll. And he was like, well, that's fine. You may not make it very far in the business, but you need to at least be able to imply. So even if you're not willing to do anything, you need to flirt or act as if, so that way it gives them the hope. Otherwise, like, I can't introduce you to these people. Okay,
Wow. I
guess
don't
I won't
remember that
meet
at
them.
all.
Yeah. And then another guy who was an executive producer of a very successful like Nat Geo show. And if I
Mhm.
said it, you'd know the show. And he pitches a shit ton of stuff and sells it all the time. And I was like, "Hey, I would love your advice." And he'd be like, "Yeah, let's go grab dinner." Okay. Mind you, I'm like 20, mid 20s, maybe probably like 26. Went with him to dinner, and then afterwards he was like, "Well, can you drive me to my hotel?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Drove him to the hotel. "Did you want to come inside?" "No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. I gotta go. It's late." "Okay, bye." And still not really thinking much of it, but I
Yeah.
sure didn't hear from him ever again. I was like,
Wow.
"Okay."
What man, I just it's I guess yeah, I'm just so naive. Like I remember even like with David in the beginning when we first met, like he asked me if I ever had any of those kind of stories. Cuz he I feel like imagined I did. And I was
Huh.
like, "No." Like I've never nobody's ever the only was that the Jimmy Iovine thing that I had
Yeah.
said in the
Yeah.
past
Yeah.
which again was very just nothing happened, but it was clearly like a disappointment.
Right.
But other than that, yeah, like nothing. And I had never heard of any girlfriends of mine's or guys had never shared any personal stories. So
There
I
were
didn't realize
rumors
it was so
common.
yeah.
Yeah. There were and like again, I don't wanna like start things, but there were definitely lots of rumors when I first moved to LA. J-Lo she'd already come up, but in the dance community, everybody knew who she was because she was a dancer. She was a fly
Hmm.
girl. She danced for Janet Jackson. And all the rumors were that she had slept her way into her opportunities to get to what she wanted. And I was like, I mean, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if so,
We
like
don't.
it worked. It worked. Was it worth it for her? I don't know, but it worked.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Look, so sexuality and sleeping around for many people doesn't hold that much weight. I
Yes.
am not that people. I am not that's not
Right.
me. So I can't relate. Like I don't like that to me is like, huh? But I do believe I am a rare. I'm rare, and I'm not even gonna say it, I believe it. Like it's true. Like
Mhm.
especially talking to friends and people that I know for my age and how many people have slept with all these people in their lifetime and whatever. And I'm just like,
Mm.
okay, that's very normal for
Right.
most folks my age, and so I know I am what David calls me a unicorn.
Mhm.
But so with that said, I don't understand that mentality, and I'm it's very foreign to me. But I also can very much see, yeah, who cares? Like I
Some
don't
people
think like
yeah.
that, but some people will sleep with two, three people. That's excessive, but like I was gonna say a day, but a week, right?
Right.
And they're cool. Like it's all good. Like nobody's feeling like they're
They
happy.
enjoy
Like they're
it.
not feeling shameful. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like just the same way all the men do it, the women do it too, and it's not that big of a deal. Society makes it a big deal.
Yeah.
Religion makes it a big deal.
Yeah.
Certain cultures, make it a big deal.
Mhm.
So, although I could never do it, I can understand how those people who don't hold having sex and multiple partners and who don't give it that much weight, how that's like, okay, like you're kind of hot and we just got to
See?
like sleep together
Yeah.
and I could get
Yeah.
this movie say
Okay.
less.
Right.
and you're taking me to dinner.
And
Sounds
I
good. Do you know
see
what I mean? Like
that's
that's said definitely not me and could never be me, but in a world, I that makes sense to me. Like if it
right.
didn't matter so much to me, why not?
Right. But see, and that's the thing though, like I get that and I'm more power to you like again if you are under the understanding with your partner that it's just sex and you enjoy sex and your sexuality, like again, more
That's right.
power to you and that's awesome because I am on that train of like stop sex shaming, especially women. But I think
Mhm.
there's a difference between yeah, a proposition of a flirtatious or whatever, but there's also like obligatory sex, and I think that's where the turnoff
Sure.
happens. Like, it's
Sure.
like when you choose to clean your room versus when your mom tells you to clean your room, and you're like, it's just a different I know that's probably a
Energy.
bad comparison,
Yeah,
but
horrible, like, I
well,
was
you know
like,
what I mean? It's just the point of it's one thing for
no, I
somebody
understand.
to tell you, "Make a choice, this or that," like, you either do it or you don't get the job versus, like, "You're hot, I'm hot, like,
Yeah, why not?
in the mood, let's do it." That's
Yeah,
I don't know, a different type of casual sex.
correct, but it still goes back to what are you willing to do? And the shaming that goes to some of these women who, like you mentioned, did the casting couch thing
Mhm.
and are like, I would probably never talk about it, but might not feel shamed or might not feel victimized. Like
Mhm.
that might have been their strategy. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they've all heard about it. We've all, it's been there's a reason why it's called a casting couch.
Right.
So
I just need
it's
that
interesting.
signature. I need that contract. I ain't like I need a guarantee. Just saying.
Yeah, look, I hear that. I hear that. So it's quite obviously we started the conversation speaking of the horrible allegations
Mhm.
with all the P Diddy mess, especially the young kids thing, the Justin
Mhm.
Bieber. I forgot there's somebody else I had in my head, but even actually bringing up what would you do for success? That one documentary that was talking about all the Nickelodeon kids.
Yeah, quite on the
Um,
set.
that Quiet on the Set was a big one. It's funny because I worked on a Nickelodeon set, and a lot of people sent me that on Instagram when it came out.
Mhm.
And I actually worked on those sound stages that some of those shows were filmed in Orlando. The show I was filming was actually one of the last shows to be filmed on those stages before they stopped filming there. But I
Mm.
never saw any of that, heard it. And I've spoken to parents actually very recently about like getting their kids in the business, and they brought that documentary up. And I got to be honest, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I was kind of annoyed because I was like, if you watch the documentary, what was consistent was ignorant ass parents. What was consistent was parents who weren't involved, who were letting, in my opinion,
Mhm.
things happen. What was consistent was people weren't asking questions. What was consistent is there wasn't accountability. Like there was just, and I'm sorry, but I blame the parents. Like
Mhm.
I've filmed a TV show with children where parents have to be on set, and it's not coming from nowhere. So
But Val,
I
you did this show in the recent those Nickelodeon shows were like 10 plus years ago.
I understand that, but my point is I am doubling down. My point is, as a fucking parent, like I'm sorry. Like if you were allowing your child to be for hours with some random stranger adults,
Right.
and like even the Drake, right? Was it Josh
Josh Drake.
Josh
Yeah,
Drake? Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm getting his name wrong.
one of
His dad told the mom, like, don't let him
right,
be with this person. So,
right.
and the mom dismissed that. So, like, my point is, look, of course, um, this is a general statement, and of course, there's all the situations are different. But my general opinion is
Mhm.
that is in those shows with children, a whole lot is the parents' fault, and
Right.
because they are just listening to these promises and letting these things, their kids do these random things with these strangers. Like what? I think that's negligence. I think that's ignorance. I think these momager dadagers, they get their eyes stuck in these stars and they want their kids to be these big things, and then they're just like, yeah, 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 whatever. And then they'll stay quiet because of certain things. And a lot of them admitted that they
Right.
stayed quiet because they didn't want the kid to lose a job or whatever.
Yeah, it's a little gross.
Then I'm sorry to your child, really. Like those are obviously the real victims, but that's on you. Like that was your fault. So it irritates me when parents are like, "Oh, they blame the whole industry," and it's like, "Yeah, but like that's really bad for children." And I was like, "Yes, you're right. It can be. But if you are a good parent and you set boundaries and you are paying attention, then it could be great because you can drop your child off at school and they're getting groomed by their teacher or at
Yes.
church. Let me bring some church up. Okay. So
Oof, oof.
you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I don't, it's not a entertainment industry issue. It's a
Mm,
bad, sick people issue. And it's a you not paying attention issue.
mhm.
Anyway, let me get off my soapbox. But all that to say, yeah, like what would you do, right? It's I would move across the country, you know. I would miss birthdays and big family celebrations that I wish I was at, and that gets me choked up. It didn't get me choked up when I was younger, but
Mhm,
as I'm older, missing moments with my family, especially my parents as they're aging, that's a sacrifice. You know, like,
mhm,
so I've talked to David a lot about this, you know, like being away from family and you know, and when you look at the big picture of life and the days that we have left and you calculate, okay, how many times am I going home?
mhm,
Twice a year. So how many more twice a years do I really have, right? When you look at it like that, I'm like, that's a big sacrifice, you know? So sometimes what you give, like what are you willing to do? It's also what are you willing to lose
mhm.
or not be a part of that
Yeah.
really is tough.
There's a lot of, I think, lifing that gets missed when you're pursuing a big career.
Mm,
It doesn't matter if it's entertainment industry, astronaut, or
that's
a
right.
doctor or whatever, but you do miss out on a lot of leisurely fun things. So, and that's not to knock anybody's job, right? But let's say you have a basic, for lack of better words, a basic 9 to 5 that doesn't require a lot of energy outside of you show up, you come home, you show up, you come home. Even that is a
Mhm,
lot of your time, right? But let's say you're pursuing something that requires extra, and extra. It's the nights that your friends are going out that you don't get to go out. It's the nights that your family's getting together. It's nights that somebody
mhm.
else is having a date and you're like, well, I'm single, staying single, and I'm working on this, that, and the third. And there have been many years
Yeah.
of my own life that are like gone because all I was doing was at a studio. You know, like when I was dancing,
Yes.
I was at work and then I was at a studio for hours and hours when I was pursuing this, that, and the third. But as an entertainer, I don't life nearly as much as I used to when I was in college. And not because I was a
Mhm.
college party kid. I mean, I was in college, I had 2 jobs, and I was dancing for a company. I didn't sleep, but I had a social life. And I came out here and was like, I can't afford to have a social life because if I am, and I'm not saying this is the correct way to think, but if I'm not where I want to be in my career yet, why am I going to waste my leisurely time doing like bullshit things when
Mhm.
I'm not where I want to be? So I've been constantly on this journey of getting to the thing, which means I've missed a lot of lifing. And I'm
Mhm.
okay with that because I'm investing in something in the future. But who's to say something doesn't happen tomorrow? You know, not that I wanna put that out there, but I'm just saying it's like it's really trying to figure out and balance the dedication towards the thing that you really want and what you're willing to
Yes.
sacrifice, but also taking the time to go on that vacation or do that thing
Yeah.
because or spend that money because we're taught to, like, save, 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 but if something happens tomorrow, like, you can't take your money with you, so you enjoyed none of it?
Yeah. My mom always talks about that too. Like now that she is retired, she was just like, when it comes to my children and when it comes to vacations and things, and I mean, my parents don't have, you know, they're middle class, but she's always said that. She's like, I'm gonna spend the money. I'm gonna take the
Right.
vacations. I'm gonna have the memories because it's not going with me. So
Mm,
that's really important. Yeah, I love that you brought that up because there are sacrifices made in any career and in all aspects of it. So it is an interesting question to ask yourself when you are um choosing a career or choosing to stay in a career or choosing to start something completely new that you've never even attempted. You know, it's like, well, willing to risk or lose or gain
mhm,
if we turn it
and
around.
sometimes it's your partner. You
Oh
know, like,
yes.
if you happen to have a partner that doesn't do, I don't mean like in a negative way, like doesn't do as much as you do, but like let's say you have a stay-at-home husband or a stay-at-home wife, and sure they're tending to the things at home, but they have more time of their on their hands to miss you if they don't have other interests outside of
Sure.
you. And so it's like you're working all day pursuing the thing and then coming home and I'm tired to me is a shitty ass excuse, but you're doing that and still juggling work while at home and da 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 da, and you're
Mhm.
so dedicated. And even when you're present, you're not present, then
Yeah.
that sucks to be the other person. So that's also sometimes a
I've
sacrifice.
Yeah, no, that's a huge one. I feel like that one's very common and what breaks people up eventually. And then, by the time they come home, they only have enough energy to deal with the kids, and then
Mhm.
it's the relationship that falls apart. Or even the parenting falls apart for some people.
Yeah, a
It's
lot. Are
a
you kidding me?
lot.
Parenting is, "Hey, watch this. Hey, play this video game. Hey, scroll on social media." What?
Yeah, and I mean that's a whole other episode.
Back in
Parenting.
my
I
day,
mean,
I used to ride my bike.
I
Oh my
know we did. Like it was so fun.
I do wanna tell one story though that I may or may not have shared in the past, but it's taking it back a little bit in terms of, like, the grooming and the da da da. But I don't know if you're familiar with Kesha's story, but Kesha had come out
Mm.
a while back talking about her producer and saying that her producer had her under the influence, and that was he was molesting her and stuff like that. Nobody really believed her because her career started before we knew who she was. It started when she was
Okay.
young. Don't quote me on this, but I'm gonna say somewhere around 15 is when she had gotten signed. So she was still young enough to like be young and be
Mhm.
working behind the scenes, and whatever you do behind the scenes as a music person, it's different for everybody. But I remember being on set for her very first music video.
Mhm.
It's called what? TikTok, TikTok on the clock, and I think anyways.
Mhm.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa. I thought I was going to a Keisha Cole music video, so I was real excited, and I showed up, and there was this white girl who was a hot mess, and I was like, "Who is this?" And they're like, "Oh, it's Kesha." And I remember what's funny is there's a reference to P Diddy in the very first line of the song. Wake up in the morning feeling that P.
He
Diddy.
did it.
Dun-dun. Anyways, I don't know if he had anything to do with her. But when I tell you she was on something, like
Really?
she had her arm around a dude, and it was like she could barely walk. And me being ignorant and not knowing that at the time she was being groomed and being drugged and all the things was like, how the fuck is this gonna be your first music video and you are already a mess? Like, you're not gonna succeed. Who's gonna wanna work with
Mm.
you? You're like, what?
Mhm.
And come to find out many years later, it probably wasn't even her choice.
Wow.
But you wouldn't
That's
know.
sad.
Like, you wouldn't watch that music video and be like, oh, that girl's fucked up. But trust and believe, she was a hot mess.
Right. And even with like all the stuff that happened to Britney
Oh,
at the
yeah.
end of her career and like all the manipulation by
By
her
her
own
parents
family. That's
who
right.
wanted money from her because she was their cash cow.
There's so much. But yeah, I love this conversation just because obviously it started or it was born with all the crazy allegations that are out right now and all the rumors that are being spread, or maybe they're true. We don't know. Um, but the reason why we wanted to talk about it is because it does bleed into so many other careers, so many other
Mhm.
situations. Um, and just having that thought, like, how far are you willing to go? What are you willing to do? We've all thought it, like, we've had to, or the
Right.
forced or not, for
Right.
different things, for different reasons, like, yeah, it's fascinating.
You know what's crazy? And this is a topic for a completely different podcast, something that you and I would know nothing about. But the amount of women, maybe even men, in
Mhm.
a marriage whose partners do rape them. Just because you're married to somebody does not
Where
automatically
did
give
this
them
come from?
consent. Um, where did that come from? I guess because I am thinking about, sorry, like all the things in the music industry and
Got
I
it.
don't know. It happens. It's sad
I
and
just
nobody talks
no
about it. Sorry.
yeah, but I mean, look,
It's
it's
still
yeah, no, it's an interesting thing. I was just like, "But where was that thought born?" But yeah, maybe just the manipulation of people,
right.
um, and then the people that you're closest to, which is scary. But yes, maybe that's um, podcast episode that we
One that
explore.
I would bring someone like Matt in because he is an expert and he can actually talk to us about stuff like that. So,
Yes, I would. We miss him. He's doing so
I know.
well. He's being so funny on all his instas and traveling and weddings and But I love this. I love that we. I mean, look, I honestly I'm looking forward to the truth setting people free. I'm looking forward to knowing like what the heck is really happening, cuz and I
Mm.
hope more people come out and say their truth, and people get, I don't
Has
know.
anyone I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to, like, drag this podcast out, but I guess because I've not stayed tuned up to date with anything, I know outside of what was it? Not Ashanti, but, who's oh my god, P. Diddy's ex-girlfriend who started this whole thing.
Sure, yeah.
Um,
I know who you're talking about.
Kathy Ca Ca oh, shit.
I don't remember her name.
Da, da, na, 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 na. I've met her before. Damn it. Anyways, doesn't matter. Point is, where is my point? Golly,
Like,
I was
has
so focused.
anybody come out,
Okay.
or is that what
Um
you're asking? Hasn't anybody
Oh,
else
has
come out?
anybody I'm like, okay, so there's been all these allegations. Justin Bieber hasn't, like, actually said anything. It's like part of me was like, is P. Diddy taking the fall? This is me being conspiracy theorist, but taking the fall for a much larger entity, and he was just an easy target. So they're like, I mean, he was involved, but he's not really the ringleader. It's actually some like huge political person and blah blah blah.
Sure.
But like, let's pin it on him. And so therefore, because no
Well,
one
he
I
had the tapes.
yeah, but there's no
Right.
like proof. Actual proof. I mean, someone found some lube and someone found some sexually
No, I think that's what the tapes are.
but has anybody actually played them and watched them?
Yeah, I think that's why he's in jail. Like, I
Okay,
think
'cause it
that's the whole
feels
point, that like that, because those are now in, I think, right? Like, I don't at us, but because I followed a little bit of it, but not a whole ton. But from what I understand, that is why he's now in custody, and that is why so many people deleted their things and stepped down, because the evidence is now there, and they are on
tape
those
doing some shit.
tapes. Right.
Right.
So either way,
I just
I hope people would just get caught for whatever they
but,
did.
like,
That's
okay,
messed
what
up.
happens if, for example, like, someone like a Justin Bieber's like, "I don't wanna relive this shit again, so I'm not gonna come to court, I'm not gonna testify, I don't wanna talk about it," but he's clearly on the tape. Well, he's also then not pressing charges, so therefore, would the other person still be held accountable?
Um, I mean,
Like the deep
obviously, right. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I would assume though that if you still, whether somebody's pressing charges or not, if the law is broken,
mm,
if then and then there's evidence of it, they can't ignore it,
right.
you know? Because somebody else will get in trouble for that. Like, you guys just let a minor be whatever. Obviously, he's not pressing charges. He's traumatized. I don't
Right.
know. I'm not a lawyer, so I have no clue. But that the only thing I could assume is that if there is evidence of laws being broken, drugs. Obviously, there was a lot of drug stuff. Um, I don't know why I said obviously. Maybe that's not obvious, but that can't be ignored.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
but
Sorry, I derailed us a little bit. We do have to get to our
we do. What
what if
if?
what not what if, that's a movie. Um is it a
It
what
is
if?
what if.
Okay, sorry, I'm thinking of Ryan Reynolds right now, guys. If. Okay. All right. So do you want to go first, Val, or do you want me to
Yeah,
go first?
sure.
Okay.
Um, so there's a lot of like new ideas, and just like fun energy that's in my head, and all I can think about, it's like, what if they all turn out like as amazing as I'm imagining it? What if all these synchronicities with the 333 and 444 showing up everywhere?
Mm.
Yeah, this has been super common. Like, what if those messages are exactly what they mean? And this energy that I am getting and feeling, and everything that is being cultivated right now is going to be more than I could have ever imagined.
Ooh, I like that.
Hmm.
Okay, I have like a few what ifs. One's gonna be a short and it's like redundant, so I don't mean to be
Really
re-
quick, I'm going to pause you because my battery is dying. I didn't plug in, so I just in case, don't be long winded.
okay.
Just in case, because I was
You're
like,
telling
wait a
me to
minute.
hurry up. So, what if I went to a restaurant the other day, other week, and I looked over? I feel like I have to talk fast now, and I saw Dwayne Johnson staring at me. Now, mind you, it was a cardboard cutout, but I was like, okay, bitch, like to the universe, like
Yes.
this is some stupid shit. So I'm like, what if he shows up at one of my shows, which I'm not gonna have a show till next year, but it doesn't matter. He shows up doing his research to learn more about, how the show operates, even though it's a totally different brand. He's doing his research and I get to meet him that way. And he's like, she's amazing. And what if, I said this to Matt Marr, I was like, and what if he brings his buddy Zac Efron? And like, what if he's like totally enchanted by me? And then I sent Matt a picture of Zac Efron shirtless. So that's my quick what if before her battery dies. I'll shut up on the others.
I love that so much. Well, I love it. Thank you guys. It is a new day. By the time we post this, the future is here. And I hope everybody's having a good day. I hope everybody's, yeah. Cool. And we are going to be in
smell
Hawaii.
like poi. I don't know the words. Okay.
All right. Until next week. Thank y'all for listening. Mwah.
Mahalo. Aloha. Bye-bye.